Good morning, women helping women. I am Melanie McCool, and I want to say happy solstice and happy Yuletide. Today begins the season to be merry, right? And it may be 7:45 a.m. on a Monday where I am in Florida, but I thought I'd bring the fire. So, if you would just drop a comment, let me know where you're coming from, and if it is as early for you, and you may even hear it in my voice, as it is for me, then let me know that you've got your coffee or tea on hand as well. I am a clinical hypnotherapist. I'm the entrepreneur's hypnotherapist. In fact, I've been in business myself for more than 20 years. And I thought today I'd introduce myself a little more as if we were sitting around that fire and we were actually getting to know one another. And so, as we begin today, I would just ask you to let me know where you're coming from, what it is that you do. If we were to actually meet, I'd be asking you many questions about you because I want to know who you are and what your dreams, what your aspirations are. See, I've got a story and it may well bless you, but without my knowing who you are and what's important to you, then the bits of my story that could bless you can't really be revealed. And so, if you would, drop your comments. Let me know who you are, what you do, where you're coming from, and what you aspire to. What are your dreams? Because that's where my story begins, at least today. Now, I was born here in Florida, beautiful sunny Florida. I'm a Floridian once removed. Uh, my mother brought me to live up north in New Jersey, just near to Philadelphia, when I was 8. I hated it. So in 2006, I brought my family back here. And that's where my story for you actually begins, is with my family. In 2000, having just come back from living in England, living on an organic farm, and I found myself pregnant and ready to be a mother. And my utmost value, the most important thing in my world would have been, was to be a mother to my children. And so I made a decision right then and there, this is 2000, that I would be the one that would raise my children. And so I went online looking for a way to work from home. And what I found, as many of you probably are familiar with, was an industry called network marketing. And if you are in network marketing or you've been in network marketing, you can drop me a comment here, let me know. And I'm no longer a network marketer, but I've been a top 1% earner in the industry, which is part of the story. And if you'd like to know how you can be a top earner in any industry, this is a story you want to hear. And so I found network marketing, and what I saw was these people with these smiling faces and living a lifestyle that I was just like, oh, well, that works for me. And I thought to myself, well, these people, they just know something I don't know yet, and I'm determined to figure out what it is. And so I dove right in, and I learned online network marketing from 2000. Imagine that, right? I actually learned online lead generation, list building from the very beginning. So I have been building an email list since 2005, or even before then. And it's made me a fortune. So I'll just put that out there. If any of you are wondering whether or not you should be building an email list, you should. And this is not a marketing lesson, however, I can't help myself. Hypnotherapist here, but I've got all the business know-how that I got to give you the deets on, right? And so I went for it. I dove in. Now, got to take a step back. You've got to know this. I was not a business person. I told you I was an organic farmer. I was an ecological consultant. Can you see my hippie vibes still coming through 20 years later? Yeah, that was me. So I had no business being in business. So how the heck did I go from being this hippie mom growing my veggies, which is still something that I do. Yeah. How could I go from that to top 1% earner in network marketing? Well, it has everything to do with what's going on right between my own ears. See, I not only did I dive into the skills development, which we call professional development, in it, but I also dove into the personal development, the mindset reset that is so critically required in order to make the money that you aspire to. And without it, in fact, I would say that you're going to find yourself in a very, very painful place with your foot on the brake because your mind doesn't know what to do with this new money making idea that you have without the mindset work, without the inner work. And so I went from zero to multiple six figures within the first 5 years in network marketing. I essentially bought the home that I live in now in cash and furnished it in cash. Made the final decision, that I would be the one to raise my children, and I did, and I have been. My children are both now much bigger than me. All right, we've got salon owners, I've got life coaches, I've got somebody from Kenya. Beautiful. Welcome. Wonderful. Wonder what time it is there. Let me know. Drop it in the comments. As I was saying, my children, they're both much bigger than me now. I am the little mommy. If you look on my Facebook profile, and I do welcome you to come over and say hello, to connect with me for real, right, on Facebook. You'll see my children are both much bigger than me now. But I am blessed to say that I was there for them as a work-at-home mom every step of the way because of the mindset work that I did. Washington, D.C. Hey, welcome. I know your face. And so I went to multiple six figures, which was fantastic. But what I learned at that point in time was that I had hit a ceiling. I had hit a ceiling because there was still some inner work that I needed to do that I wasn't aware of up until that point. So essentially I went for it. I changed enough of my programming, my poverty programming that I was raised with, essentially, in order to do the work to make the money, which was fantastic. But then what I found was that I was getting rid of it just as quickly as I brought it in. And I don't know if you're familiar with this. If any of you have ever experienced this, please do drop a comment. And that you may be able to bring in, a good amount of money, but then you find yourself getting rid of it just as fast as you can. And if that's one of your signs, one of your money blocks, then just drop that in the comments for me and let me know. Because it's so very common. So I was working really hard too. This is another part of the issues I had to get sorted out for myself. I was working really hard to make that multiple six-figure income, to be a top 1% earner in the industry. And I was getting rid of it just as fast as it came in. And so what that actually, I can say to you, what that means now is that if you're working really hard for the income that you're making, then you probably have one of what I think of as poverty programs running in the back of your mind, which is that money is hard to earn. It is hard to make. And you must sacrifice other things in your life in order to bring it in. And that's a lie. Okay? It is a lie. It seems to be true because of what you may have experienced growing up. For me, it was very clear. My mom raised 3 children on her own. And she worked all the time. And I never saw her. And so in my mind, I always thought, well, to make money, it's hard work. And then why was I getting rid of it just as quickly as I earned it? Well, because the other piece of poverty programming, and just follow this poverty programming versus wealth programming that I'm getting to here, is that rich people are jerks. And I don't think anybody in this group is anywhere remotely related to my family. So I can reveal a little bit about this. Rich people are jerks in that my mom's first husband, I always heard this talk about him, right? He had plenty. He didn't share it with us. Therefore, rich people are jerks. And so I have this poverty programming going on in my system. I'm making, $1,000 a day. I don't have to work a darn minute of the day to make that money at this point, but I'm working 14 hours because I feel obligated because it's hard to make money. And then I'm spending it just as quickly as possible. In fact, I'm not just spending it, I am generously gifting it. I am throwing big lavish parties for people to show that I'm not a jerk. All because I have this programming going on in the back of my mind, which is, well, it's hard to make money, got to work hard, and got to get rid of it just as fast as I can because I don't want to be a jerk. And I want to prove that I'm not a jerk. I'm a generous soul. If either of these things have ever played a part in your psyche and in your business, in your life, drop me a comment. I have a word of warning for you. Don't overwork yourself to the point where you burn out. It can take your health, your life, your family, your happiness, your joy, all of the above. All because of a sneaky bit of poverty programming, something that was taught to me from when I was a child. And the other piece here is that because I was working so hard, I had hit a ceiling in my income. So, hey, if you've hit a ceiling in your income, if you're aware that you have been making about the same amount of money for the last few years, drop me a comment. Let's hear it. And I don't want to know how much it is. We don't need to get that personal. But just let me know. Have you hit a ceiling in your income? And are you afraid that you can't get past it because you might die? And I know that sounds extreme, but truthfully, your mind is telling you, I can't work anymore. I can't work anymore. If I work more, or if I want to make more money, then I have to sacrifice my family, my happiness, my joy, my health, whatever those things. Or maybe you already are, and you're not. And if that's you, let me know. Because what is going on essentially is that you're running a faulty program. And you may have hit that ceiling in your income. And that ceiling only exists because you have these limiting beliefs about yourself, your place in the world, and how money works. And I'm going to tell you, there's no amount of courses, training, additional certifications, or filling your calendar that's going to take you past that ceiling. Would you like to know what will? Would you like to know how you can increase your income without working more? Sacrificing everything in your world, in your life. If that appeals to you, drop a comment. And this is not magical thinking. This is not some kind of, fairy dust from the sky. I am talking true neuroscience of success here. I just told you I've been in business for 20 years. This is not some pie in the sky BS. I'm going to give you the facts. I'm going to tell you about the way that you can actually unlock the money in your mind. Because I've been talking about poverty programming. Well, there's also wealth programming. And if you consider that as you look around your life now and you can see the results of how you've been thinking about yourself, your place in the world, and how money works, your results are all around you and in front of you. Because your thoughts, they determine how you feel. How you feel determines how you act or don't act. And then those actions create a life. And so if you look all around you and you can see the way that you've thought about yourself and your relation to money for the last 10, 15, 20 or more years, and you don't like it, you might think, like most people do, that the solution is over here in the action part, right? So you've got another course, you've got another certification, you've filled that freaking calendar again, and you think that this is how you change the outcome. But ultimately, you aren't taking action in the most powerful way possible. In fact, you may be doing it from a feeling of desperation or perspiration. Because that hurts and that leads to burnout. And that'll keep that ceiling, your income ceiling, just right where it's always been, too. And what if I told you that if you changed the way you think about yourself, your relation to money, your place in the world, that you then change the way you feel? And as you feel differently, as you can then imagine a juicy dream life, a future full of hope, optimism, and more money. Yeah? Oh, there's more comments. I didn't realize I had to scroll on down. Here we go. Thank you. Wonderful. As we go from changing the way you think, from poverty programming to wealth programming, prosperity programming, changing the way you feel so that your actions come from a place of inspiration. When you aspire to do more, be more, have more, and create a better world, your actions are far different, and you'll create a different future. And so if you look around and you're sick of what you've been creating based on the thoughts that you've been thinking, that the thoughts that you've been thinking were based on the poverty programming that you were raised with, then it would be imperative for you to change the way you think so that you can change the way you feel, the way you act, get that freaking self-sabotage and procrastination out of here once and for all. Forget it. And then watch as you create the future, your juicy dream life available to you. That's exactly what I did. So at some point here, I realized, making multiple six figures and just about killing myself to do it wasn't ever really my intention. I don't know about you, but does burnout sound like a good idea to you? How about this? How about if you burn out your adrenals, so you actually, have adrenal fatigue, as they call it, and then that leads to heart palpitations to the point where you're in the hospital a couple times, and they realize that you've burnt out half your thyroid. Yeah, doesn't sound like a really juicy dream life, does it? No, that's exactly what happened to me. That's exactly what happened to me. So, is it, and why? Because of the poverty programming that told me I had to work hard and that rich people were jerks. So I was working hard, making lots of it, but I was giving it away just as fast as I could so that I would have to earn it again and work really hard again. So what did I do? Well, at that point, I was taken out of my career. I was literally out. Forget network marketing, forget anything that involved me being out of the house for that matter. And so I had to go and figure out how the heck to solve this problem. And listen, I'm a holistic health nut. I have been since I was 16 years old or younger. That's why I was an organic farmer. So don't think for a moment that I wasn't taking care of myself physically all this time. This was a totally psycho-emotional illness that I ended up with, an autoimmune condition, in fact, that they wanted to do all kinds of medical treatment on me, which I said, no, you know what? Let me see if I can sort this out my way first. And I did. What I did was I found hypnotherapy, and hypnotherapy helped me to reset not only my internal systems, to bring my stress down so low that my body could heal and reverse that condition called hyperthyroidism, which kind of feels like a lion is chasing you all the time. But I also, at this point, I was able to go within, I was able to do the deep inner work to reset this sneaky poverty programming that had been running the show. Now listen, I have been a student of the way that money actually works on this planet for 20 years. I knew consciously of the law of abundance. Of course, I know about the law of attraction, but hey, the law of abundance is a bit more powerful. We can talk more about that in my group, which I'm going to invite you to here in a moment. Well, actually, I'll just ask you: how many of you have been working with the law of attraction and finding that shit don't work? Can I say that in this group? I want to see. I mean, it works if you've got some other pieces of the puzzle. But I'll tell you what: if you're always trying to attract it, that means it's outside of you, right? How about if we realize that it's always right here and it always has been, and it's always only been what's going on between your ears that has been screwing you up. All right. So, in learning hypnotherapy to heal myself, I also realized it was what my next path in life was. It's my soul's calling. I am an entrepreneur's hypnotherapist because, well, I know you. I've worked with you for 20 years in network marketing, and then as a sales and marketing coach and a consultant. I was the LinkedIn leads lady. If you go on LinkedIn, I do invite you, find me on LinkedIn. I'll post that in the comments here. In fact, why don't you post your LinkedIn profile for me so that I can find you right now as soon as we're done here, okay? I was a LinkedIn leads lady. I've worked with you I work with thousands of you from all over the world. And what I find is that it doesn't matter where you're from. These same sneaky poverty programs run in the back of your mind, and they keep you from being free. But when I'm going to invite you to be part of my workshop, it's recorded in my Facebook group, and it's called Unlock the Money in Your Mind. Because what I did was I learned with hypnotherapy to unlock the money in my mind, to get my mind on board to understand that I could make a whole lot more money with less work. And so can you. And that's exactly what my clients find, is that when they apply these lessons that I had to learn so that I could save my life and get back in the game. Oh my gosh, the lifestyle that I was used to, I was completely out of the game. I wasn't earning. I had to get back in. I had to get back in a way that would mean that my calendar was empty. I have an empty calendar and a full bank account. If you'd like an empty calendar and a full bank account, drop me a comment. And what if I told you that's all in here? Yeah, there you go. And so I'm just about out of time here, but I'm gonna leave you with my with a bluebird moment and an invitation. So in part of my story is that in releasing the poverty programming, I also released a lot of programming that helped me to realize that I was in an incredibly toxic relationship, and I had been for 18 years at the time. And so I made a decision that I would divorce. And if any of you have ever had to go through divorce, drop me a comment. But I want to tell you that the power of the mind and mindset and the work that I've done with hypnotherapy for myself, if I tell you that I was divorced within 6 months and it cost me $600, what might you say? You might say, oh, that's crazy. That's impossible. That's nuts. How did you do that? And I'd say, oh, just the mental frickin' superpowers that I've developed that I can help you to develop. That's what I do. And I have 2 children. One's 20 now, and I have a 16-year-old son. And I was striving after when I decided to be divorced. Thank you, Sabrina. I see that, and I know it. Can we say, well, I don't know about you, but for me, it was a happy divorce day. Yay! Happy divorce right here. I actually had another friend that I brought to the courthouse for her happy divorce day too. We did a selfie. It was like, yay, this is the happy freedom place. I'm sorry, I'm a bit over the top about it, but seriously, like, boom, I deserve better, more. A happy life, joyful prosperity. And it didn't involve where I was, so poof. My bluebird moment before I wrap up and give you an invitation to join me in my group here on Facebook. If you resonate, if you'd like to know more about me, if you'd like to experience hypnotic experiences that can help you to free your mind from poverty programming and instead instill wealth programming for you. My bluebird moment went like this. Driving away from dropping my son off, I thought to myself, wow, he can never again for the rest of my life pull me down with a weight. He can never again affect the impact that I'll have on this planet. He can never again impact my money. And at that very moment, I realized he never did. That was only ever my own thoughts. At that moment, as I realized that the thoughts were the only thing that had ever kept me small, the only thing that I ever thought that he, give me a break, sovereignty. Every single one of us stands sovereign, whether we're married, not, where you walk on the planet, what opportunity is available to you. You are a sovereign being. It only ever comes from within your thoughts. Determine your reality, thoughts, feelings, actions, creation. It's you. At this very moment, when I realized it was only ever my thoughts, and with grace, this came down with a divine, this is a loving download. I wasn't like, oh, it's only ever been in my head. This very moment, and this has never happened since or before, this bluebird, at this second, flies. It hovers in front of my car like a hummingbird, looks me in the eye to make sure that I didn't miss this important thought, this important truth about who I am, who you are. It was never about anybody else. It has only ever been in here. And then that beautiful bluebird flew off. And so I hope to have you experience your own bluebird moment, to recognize how sovereign you are. Oh, I'm so proud of you. That's so wonderful. Oh, my heart for you, dear. That's wonderful. All right. So the invitation. Clinical hypnotherapist, entrepreneur's hypnotherapist, been at this 20 plus years. My story is that I've made millions. I've been a miserable millionaire. And I recognized that it was because of the thoughts that were running through my head that had me living life in a way that was actually damaging to my health. With hypnotherapy, I sorted that out. And I changed my career at that moment. I turned on a dime. I reinvented myself so that I could help you. And so if you, at any point, understand that it is your limiting poverty programming that is keeping you from not only busting through that ceiling, but perhaps has you thinking that you have to sacrifice anything to be happy, healthy, and wealthy, then I invite you to come into my group here on Facebook, Program for Prosperity, and go through the workshop that's in the units called Unlock the Money in Your Mind. That's where we start. That's our beginning. And from there, the fact is, I don't even know what your potential is. You can't know. Now, stop. I don't want you to be too excited about your future when you're programmed for prosperity. But I'll tell you that your potential expands as you move toward it. As your potential expands, your mind expands, and you can never, ever go back to your old way of thinking, feeling, believing. And you might just find that you become a master of manifestation. You might just find that you realize that the more fun you have, the more money you make. And that world, it begins to shape all around you. And so that when you look around you in next year, 2021, and then the year after that, you realize how quickly you have changed everything around you because you changed the way you thought in the most powerful, efficient way possible. And that is with hypnosis, with hypnotherapy, when you're programmed for prosperity. And so this has been wonderful. If you've enjoyed these stories, I'd love to hear yours. So join me in the group. With that, I'm going to say happy solstice, happy Yuletide, Merry Christmas, Hanukkah, every festival of lights that exists on the planet. It is all my heartfelt love intention for you, that you have joy, peace, and love through this time. And do join me in the group. I'm going to do a wonderful hypnotic experience for the great conjunction, right? The Christmas star. Alrighty, with that, I'll say adios. Yay.